Hello students, let us start our new session of chapter number 7, Systems of Particles and Rotational Motion. Now let us understand the new topic, Principle of Moments. So here let us take ideal lever, which is a light rod pivoted at a point along its length L. This point is called a fulcrum. Now let us take an example that a seesaw on children's playground. In that, two forces F1 and F2 are applied parallel to each other and perpendicular to the lever, act on a lever at a distance D1 and D2. As we can see in the diagram, two forces F1 and F2 are provided in the same direction, downward, and it's a rotational different direction is there. F1 is provided in clockwise direction and F2 is available in anti-clockwise direction. Their axis is parallel to each other. So here R, let us take be the reaction of the support of fulcrum. R is directed opposite to the F1 and F2. So for translational equilibrium, R minus F1 minus F2 equal to 0. For rotational equilibrium, let us take moments about the fulcrum. That is, the sum of moments must be 0. That is, d1 f1 minus d2 f2 equal to 0. So, anti-clockwise moments, let us take positive, and clockwise moment, let us take negative. So, R acts at a fulcrum should be 0 moment about the fulcrum. In the case of lever, force F1 is usually some weight to be lifted. It is called the load, and it is at distance from fulcrum D1, that is called a load arm. Force F2, that is the efforts provided to lift the load, that is the distance D2 of the effort from the fulcrum, is the effort arm. So based on the equation 2, we can say that d1 f1 equal to d2 f2. That is a load arm into load equal to effort arm into effort. So this is how this relation can be defined for the lever based on the force and the distance. So here, this equation expresses the principle of moments for a lever. Let us take a ratio F1 by F2, that is called mechanical advantage MA. So MA equal to F1 by F2. So from the equation 2, we are having F1 by F2 equal to D2 by D1. So if effort arm D2 is larger than load arm, then mechanical advantage is greater than 1. And mechanical advantage greater than 1 means that small effort can be used to lift the load arm. So you may easily show the principle of moment holds even when parallel forces F1 and F2 are not perpendicular but act at some angle to the lever. Now let us understand another topic, center of gravity. Let us understand this thing by some example. Let us take irregular shape of cardboard that is placed at the tip of the pencil. So here at the tip of the pencil, the point support at G, which defines the center of gravity. It is defined based on that mg, that is force due to gravity, acceleration due to gravity. It is affected vertically downward side. At one end, which is a mass m2, whose force is available downward side. At another side, at the right side of the cardboard, the force m1g, it is available at again downward side. So at vertically downward side, three forces are there, mg, capital Mg from the center of tip of the pencil, left hand side m2g, right hand side m1g, and its a resultant opposite force, that is a reaction, is available vertically upward side from the tip of the pencil, defines the center of gravity. So here let us understand this. If Ri is the position vector of the particle extended by the body with respect to its center of gravity, then the torque about the CG due to the force of gravity, that is Ti equal to Ri cross Mig. So total gravitational torque about the center of gravity is 0, that Tg equal to summation of Ti equal to summation of Ri cross Mig equal to 0. So the center of gravity of a body at that point where the total gravitational torque on the body is 0. G is same for all the products. So G is a non-zero value. So from that we can say that summation of Mi Ri would be 0. So Ri is the position vector are taken with respect to Cg. So center of gravity of the body coincides with the center of mass in uniform gravity in free space. Because body being small, G cannot vary from one point to another point. So if the body is extended that G is varying from part to part of the body, then center of gravity and center of mass will not coincide. So here two different concepts are there. The center of mass has nothing to do with the gravity. It depends only on distribution of the mass of the body. And position of center of mass that can be derived from regular and homogeneous objects that we have already discussed earlier. So here, let us take an example. Let us take irregular shape of body like a cardboard. If our body from some point, like let us take point A, that is a vertical line through A passing through the center of gravity, that is A dash line, likewise B dash line and C dash line we are drawing onto the cardboard. So intersection point of these vertical lines give you the center of gravity that can be defined by the method of works. So body is small, so center of mass is the same as we are defining in this manner. Let us understand example regarding the same. A metal bar 70 centimeter long and 4 kilogram in mass supported on two knife edges placed 10 centimeter from each end. A 6 kilogram load is suspended at 30 centimeter from one end. Find the reactions at the knife edges. Assume the bar to be uniform cross section and homogeneous. So this figure defines the rod AB, the position of knife available at the edges K1 and K2, and center of gravity of the rod is available at G, and the suspended load is available at point P. So the weight of rod is a W that is at the center of gravity, and the rod is uniform in cross section and homogeneous. So G is at the center of the rod. AB, that is a 70 centimeter. So AG is 35 centimeter and AP is 35 centimeter. So PG is 5 centimeter. AK1 and AK2 is a 10 centimeter. So K1G and K2G is 25 centimeter. Weight of the rod is 4 kilogram and suspended load, weight of the suspended load is 6 kilogram. R1 and R2 are the reactions of support at the knife. So translational equilibrium of the rod, we can say that R1 plus R2 minus W1 minus W equal to 0. W1 and W2 are vertically downward side, R1 and R2 is vertically upward side. Now for rotational equilibrium, moments of the forces we supposed to take. at a convenient point G. So here R1 and R2 and W1 are anti-clockwise, so let us take positive, and R1 that is a clockwise, so let us take negative. So rotational equilibrium we are having minus R1 into K1G plus W1 into PG plus K2 into K2G equal to 0. So W is a 4 G Newton, W1 is a 6 G Newton, and G is 9.8 meter per second. So here R1 plus R2 minus W1 minus W1 equal to 0. So R1 plus R2 equal to 10 G Newton, that is equal to 98 Newton. And from this second equation, let us substitute the values, that minus 0.25 R1 plus 0.05 W1 plus 0.25 R2 equal to 0. So R1 minus R2 equal to 11.76 Newton. By equating both the equation 3 and 4, we are able to get R1 and R2. R1 is 54.88 Newton and R2 is 43.12 Newton. Let us take another example. A 3 meter long ladder weighing 20 kilogram leans on a frictional-less wall. Its feet rest on the floor 1 meter from the wall as shown in figure. Find the reaction forces of the wall and the floor. So here ladder AB having a 3 meter long. It's a foot A, that is at the distance of 1 meter, that is AC is 1 meter from the wall. So here we can apply the Pythagoras theorem, and based on that we can determine BC, that is a 2√2 meter. Forces on the ladder, it's a weight acting on to the center of gravity, and reaction forces F1 and F2 of the wall and floor. So F1 is perpendicular to the wall, so the wall is frictionless, and F2, that is we can divide in two components, the normal component N and the friction component F. So F, that prevents the ladder from sliding away from the wall and therefore directed towards the wall. So for translational equilibrium, forces in a vertical direction N minus W equal to 0, and forces in the horizontal direction F minus F1 equal to 0. Now for the rotational equilibrium, moments of the force about the A, that is a 2√2 F1 minus 1 by 2 W equal to 0. So here we are having W equal to 20 G. So 20 into 9.8 Newton, that is equal to 196 Newton. So N we are having 196 Newton from equation 1. Now from equation 3, let us substitute. Let us get F1 equal to W by 4√2. So let us substitute the value of W and we will get F1 equal to 34.6 Newton. And F equal to F1 from the equation 2. So F is also 34.6 Newton. So F2 equal to under root of F square plus N square, that is equal to 199 Newton. F2 makes an angle alpha with the horizontal. So tan alpha equal to N by F equal to 4√2. So alpha equal to tan inverse 4√2, that is near by 80 degree. Now let us understand another topic, moment of inertia. For a particle at a distance from the axis, its a linear velocity is Vi equal to Ri omega. Kinetic energy of the particle is Ki equal to 1/2 MiVi square. And Vi we are having Ri omega. Let us substitute that. So kinetic energy Ki equal to 1/2 mi ri square omega square. So here total kinetic energy K of this body of the system, that is the sum of kinetic energy of individual particles. So capital K equal to summation of Ki, I from 1 to n. So here that is equal to 1/2 addition of summation of 1 mi ri square omega square I equal to 1 to n. N is the number of particles of the body and omega is same for all the particles. So here let us take omega out of the summation. So K equal to 1/2 omega square summation of mi ri square I from 1 to n. So here inertia I, moment of inertia I, that is defined as summation of mi ri square I from 1 to n. So kinetic energy K equal to I omega square. So here the equation of kinetic energy, while we compare with the rotating body, then K equals to 1/2 mv squared, that is a linear motion kinetic energy. So here we can say that angular velocity omega, that is equal to linear velocity v, and moment of inertia I, that is equal to mass of object m in linear motion. So in momentum, in a rotation, momentum of inertia is similar to the mass in linear motion. So let us calculate moment of inertia in two cases. Consider a thin ring of radius r and mass m rotating in its own plane around its center with angular velocity omega. So mass of element of the ring at a distance r from its axis and moves with a speed r omega. So it's a kinetic energy 1/2 mv square equal to 1/2 m r square omega square. So I equal to n r square. Now let us take a rigid rod of negligible mass of length L with a pair of small masses rotating about its axis with its center of mass perpendicular to the rod, as we can see in the diagram. So each point has a mass m by 2 that is available at L by 2 distance from its center C. So it's a momentum of inertia of the masses, that is m by 2 into I by 2 square plus m by 2 into I by 2 square. So I equal to m I square by 2. That is what we can say the total length L, that is L equal to mi square by 4. Here in the diagram, in the table, we are having a number of figures in which the different inertia has been calculated for different shape and with respect to its axis. So here, as the mass of a body resists a change in its state of linear motion, we can measure its inertia in a linear motion. So momentum of inertia given by its axis of rotation, which resists the change in a rotational motion. So rotational, here the measure of the way in a different parts of a body distributed at a different distance from axis. It is fixed quantity and depends on distribution of mass of the rotation, its orientation and position of the axis with respect to body. So mass of rotating body is distributed with respect to axis of rotation. So new parameter has introduced, that is the radius of gyration, that is related to the moment of inertia and total mass of the body. So here from the table we can say I equal to nk square, where k is dimension of the length. So for a rod perpendicular axis at a midpoint. So k square equal to L square by 12. So k equal to L by root 2. For circular disc, k equal to R by 2. Here k, the length k is a geometric property of the body and its axis rotation, which is known as radius of gyration. Radius of gyration of a body about an axis defined as a distance from the axis of mass point whose mass is equal to the mass of the whole body and whose moment of inertia is equal to moment of inertia of the body about its axis. So moment of inertia of a rigid body depends on the mass of the body, its shape and size. Distribution of mass about the axis of rotation, position and orientation of the axis of rotation. So it is a rigid, moment of inertia of a body depends on mass of the body, its shape and size, and distributed of mass about the axis of rotation, position and orientation. So here we can define the dimension of momentum of inertia is ml square and its SI unit is kilogram meter square. Here I is a measure of rotational inertia. Here it is utilized in steam engine and automobile engine which produce a rotational motion, have a disc with a large moment of inertia. It's a flywheel. This large moment of inertia, the flywheel resists the sudden change in increase or decrease of speed of the vehicle. So it allows a gradual change in speed and prevents the jerk of motion, which ensures the smooth ride of passengers on the vehicle. Here we are going to end this session. Hope you understood. Thank you.